Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to our third session of Nahjul Balagha. So we're going to start off today by just a quick reminder on the rules that we started discussing last time, to not post any personal information in the chat box, to make sure you respect everyone, and no private discussions and conversations when the session has started. So we're going to start off by taking a look at some more of the beautiful posters that were submitted, as well as the bookmarks. But before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to start off by looking at some wonderful words of wisdom from Imam Ali alayhi salam from Hadith 41. It's a beautiful hadith where Imam Ali alayhi salam says, "The heart of a fool is in his mouth, while the tongue of the wise man is in his heart." Does anybody want to say what they think when they see a beautiful hadith like this? What is this hadith talking about? That's right. When it's talking about the heart of a fool, it's those that are not thinking. Very good. That's right. And you should make sure that the words come from the heart. Actually think it as opposed to just saying it from the mouth. Very good. That's right. A fool will say whatever he wants, whereas a wise person is going to think. That's right. A wise person and a fool are both different. That's right. That's very good. The points that are coming up, you should always think before you speak. That's correct. Very good. So those are very good points that are coming in. That's right. They both are a lot different. Very good. So excellent. And the wise person also talks sense. And a fool, that's right. He doesn't think before he speaks. So one of the things which is also so wonderful is if we think about how profound and how wonderful the words of Imam Ali alayhi salam are. There once was a conversation that took place between a companion of Imam Ali named Hammam ibn Shureh. He was a close companion of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and one day Hammam had asked Imam Ali to speak about the qualities of the pious and God-fearing men. Imam Ali began his sermon and started describing 105 qualities of this kind of human being. The words of Imam Ali alayhi salam were so powerful that Hammam began to cry. He was so surprised by the amazing words of Imam Ali alayhi salam that his eagerness was described like a restless bird trying to break out of its cage. This shows the kind of influence that Imam Ali had on the hearts of his believers. This shows that Imam Ali's words throughout Nahjul Balagha are so amazing. We take them within our heart, they will have a strong effect through the beauty that they have. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at some posters that were submitted in. So this is a beautiful poster that was designed that it shows us what Nahjul Balagha is. It beautifully has information on it and also the color of the writing, really nice. This is another really nice poster that was submitted in that also shows different parts of Nahjul Balagha as well. That's right. It is very nice, the wows. These are also other beautiful posters. So thank you for all those that submitted your posters. They all are beautiful. And these are some of the bookmarks that were created from participants this week. Those that had done the optional assignment, thank you for submitting those. These are more beautiful bookmarks. That's right. The comments are definitely true. Wow, awesome they are. And these are some more beautiful bookmarks. If you didn't get a chance to work on the bookmarks on the posters and you're still interested, you could still do so and submit yours if you like. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start off by looking at the different kinds of beliefs that are in Nahjul Balagha. So first we're going to just look at the first cloud that's there. What kind of beliefs do we think there are in Nahjul Balagha? Do we think Nahjul Balagha talks about certain beliefs? And if so, what kind of beliefs do we think are going to be talked about in Nahjul Balagha? Anybody want to make any guesses on these kind of beliefs? It's very good. Allah has made wonderful creations. Very good. Believing in one God. Excellent. Belief in Allah. Very good. About the earth and what happens after. Good. Justice. Some of these quotes. Listening to God. Very good. Belief in God, Day of Judgment, about Allah, how to behave. Very good. So if you cannot see the slides, I suggest what you do is you exit the chat room and you try coming back, and that should fix the problem. Belief in Allah, roots of Islam, Jannah, there is one God, heaven, belief in the Holy Prophet and Imam Ali. Very good. Allah sees, hears all. Very good. So those are good points that are coming up. Excellent. So what we're going to do this class is we're going to take a look at some of these beliefs that are discussed in Nahjul Balagha. So the first one that we're going to look at is from Khutbah 109. And this khutbah is a beautiful one that talks about Allah. Basically says everything submits to him and everything exists by him. He is satisfied, so he is the satisfaction of every poor person, dignity of the low, energy for the weak, and shelter for the oppressed. So if we take a look at the way Allah is being described by Imam Ali alayhi salam, how is Imam describing Allah in this? Describes him in so many different wonderful ways. That's right. He's describing him as being generous, fair, very good. Very good. Being mighty, just, very good. So what this khutbah does, it also inspires us to make sure that within our lives, we have a strong connection with Allah. We can see the importance of this and its traits. We also see within the Holy Quran, if we take a look at Surah Al-Tahrim, Ayat 8, when it says, "O you who believe, turn to Allah a sincere turning." You can see that even within this khutbah that we see and within the verse, there is an invitation for us to turn back to God if we have turned away from Him. This is why this world is full of so many distractions, and it's important for us to remember that we should always turn to Allah because He is the best source for everything, for all of mankind. So it's important, even though that we sometimes may commit sins, we need to make sure that we always have a strong intent, strong connection with Allah. And if we do any sins, it's important for us to always feel remorse from the heart for turning away from Him. We apologize and seek forgiveness with the tongue. We stop any kind of sinning and make sure that we always keep the connection with Allah as strong as possible. And Imam Ali alayhi salam, if we look at Sermon 220, describes it in such a beautiful way, which I'm going to say. So listen closely to this. It's really wonderful. Imam Ali alayhi salam says in Sermon 220, "Be obedient to Allah and love His remembrance. Picture to yourself that you are running away while He is approaching you. He is calling you to His forgiveness and concealing your faults with His kindness, while you are fleeing from Him towards others." You think of this beautiful example. It's saying Allah is coming towards us and we're basically heading in other directions, going to other people. to think about it and make sure that we are strong with Allah. We're not always running away when we make a mistake. We don't go to other people. We try to come back to Allah and strengthen that connection. So now we're going to be taking another look at another one. That's right. Allah knows everything, even if you keep it quiet. That's right. So now we're going to take a look at from Khutbah 65. And what this khutbah says is, every listener other than him is deaf to light voices, while loud voices make him deaf. And distant voices also get away from him. Every onlooker other than him is blind to hidden colors and delicate bodies. So what can we see that this one talks about Allah? It's also describing Allah, but it's describing it in a bit of a different way. Do we learn more about the way Allah is being described from this khutbah? Being obedient to Allah, very good. That Allah knows all, that's right. Even of the lightest and the quietest voices, Allah is able to hear everything. That's right. He sees better than mankind. Allah knows all, very good. We should seek help from Him. You're in trouble, we should follow Allah, very good. He knows everything, knows all, very good. He can hear and see everyone. Allah is the highest. That's right, Sakina. It's a beautiful sermon. Allah knows all and hears better. That's right. And He has 99 names. So the other thing that shows that the kind of connection we need to have with Allah is if we take a look at an ayat from Dua Iftitah, the dua that we recite in Ramadan. There's a passage in there within the meaning where it says, "My Lord, you call me and I turn away from you. You show affection to me and I show hatred towards you. You display your love for me and I do not respond, as though I am above you. But this does not prevent you from having mercy on me, being good to me and favoring me through your generosity and nobility." So this shows us that Allah always wants to have a strong connection with us, but it is us that sometimes does not respond to Him in that same way. And that's one verse from Dua Iftitah that we should really reflect on and really wonder, are we running away from Allah, or are we actually making an effort to get closer to Him at all times? That's right, He knows everything and what's going on in the universe. Good. So now this khutbah from 105 is a little bit different. This one is actually describing the Holy Prophet. And it is saying, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Prophet Muhammad as a witness, giver of good tidings, and warner, the best in the universe as a child, and the most pure as a grown-up man, the purest of the purified in conduct, the most generous of those who are approached for generosity. So when we take a look at this khutbah 105, what are some of the ways that the Holy Prophet is being described? How is the Holy Prophet being described? He's described as a witness, giver of good tidings, and a warner. What do these traits really mean? That's right. The Holy Prophet was very polite. Good. He's the best in the universe. He's very generous. The best. He's described as he was wise. Very good. The purest, the generous. That's right. Kind. So very kind. Very good. Perfect. Purest. Very good. Because we can see that within this khutbah, he's described in many ways. One of the ways in which he is a witness is that he basically had a mission of spreading Islam to all those that believe. So he was always true to the mission that he had of spreading Islam to all of the ummah. The other one which we can see is he is also the bearer of good news. This is because he has been sent to give good news to those who are virtuous and pious and take heed and remember Allah and the last day. He tells people that believe that they will succeed and they will gain pleasure of Allah if they ensure that they follow the right path. So that is what is meant when it is described as good tidings. He will tell people of the rewards they will get if they follow the right path. Now, when it says Allah is also a warner, this means that the Holy Prophet has been sent to warn those who disbelieve and reject the faith the importance of ensuring that they follow the right path, because if they don't, they will suffer, as they will have their life in vain. And then at the end, they will have a painful punishment that will await them. So this is some of the ways that the Holy Prophet is also a warner, how he is guiding people towards the right path and making sure that if they do not believe and do not follow the right path, there will be consequences. The other functions that the Holy Prophet did was he also invited others towards Allah. Once he warned them, believe, and once he told the others of the rewards they would get if they believe, then what he did was he invited people towards Allah and to worship and be obedient to Allah and how they should interact with each other. The Holy Prophet also illuminated the way for others through his own example and teachings, because he also practiced everything that he preached. He was a perfect example of somebody that lived by the Quran, followed all the teaching. So the Holy Prophet, as we can see, had many different roles that he had played, which is very interesting that we can see even from looking at this one. That's right. And this is Khutbah number 105. That's correct. That's right. The Prophet has done so much that we are so lucky as humans to have a Prophet so wonderful that guides us in this, which is so nice. So now there's a discussion question for all of you. Within the first two parts that we looked at from Nahjul Balagha, it described Allah and some of the qualities of Allah. How would you speak to Allah using the concepts that were described in the khutbah about Allah? For example, if you were to communicate with Allah, would you praise Allah first, the same way the Imam had always praised Allah in the khutbah before asking? How would you communicate with Allah based on what you have learned? And if you were to praise Allah, how would you praise Allah? There's many different ways which we can praise Allah. You'd speak with a soft voice, very good. You would ask Allah with respect, very good. You'd ask Him when praying namaz and reading the Quran, very good. You'd go through some of His names, that's right. You can call upon Him through any one of the 99 names, very good. By being patient, by thanking Him for everything He has gave. That's right. And the other thing that we also need to take into account when we are speaking with Allah is, especially if we're asking for our hajats, we are praying for others before we actually pray. That's right. We are respecting Him. We thank Him for His bounties. We are good. Very good. We ask Him in ibadat. Very good. Excellent. And we make sure we are humble when we are speaking with Him. Very good. That's right. We want to make sure we do not get mad at Allah. Very good. We recite salawat. We also pray for the 12th Imam. Very good. Excellent. We thank Allah for the countless bounties. Excellent. So this is very good. The points that are coming up there. Excellent. So now I have another question for all of you. So the next part we're going to be looking at is looking at some parts dealing with akhlaq from Nahjul Balagha. So when we talk about akhlaq in Nahjul Balagha, what different points of akhlaq do we think are going to be mentioned in Nahjul Balagha? Different parts in akhlaq. So for when does this class end? This class is about 45 minutes in length. So depending on which time zone you're in, that's in about another, or about 20-ish minutes. So the points for our class: to be obedient to parents, how to respond to someone, very good. How to meet people, very good. So the question I asked is, the next part we're going to be looking at is going to be looking at different parts of akhlaq in Nahjul Balagha. So akhlaq do we think are going to be mentioned in Nahjul Balagha? Manners with parents, behave, how to talk to your elders, very good. Prophet's on mankind, how to speak with Allah, manners, very good. How to come forth towards your parents, very good. So some of these topics that are coming up, you're going to see, are actually going to show up within the different parts that we're going to be looking at. How to hold the door, how to control anger, how to control your temper, to respect others, very good. So these are excellent points that are coming up that we're going to be taking a look at. So the first one that we're going to be looking at is from Khutbah 16. And now this one is very special because it actually gives us some points on how sins have been described, which is really beautiful. It says, staying away for sins, and it says, beware that sins are like unruly horses on whom their riders have been placed and their reins have been let loose, so that they would jump with them in hell. What do we understand from this khutbah in the way that our sins are being described? Because it's a beautiful example that the Imam gives where we are actually taking sins and describing it like the horse. So we're looking at the first example within the akhlaq section. That's right. Sins can end up making us go to hell if we are not aware of them. Sins are like out of control, reckless. They're exactly like a horse that does not have the reins. So the person that is on the horse is no longer able to control it. That's right. We need to be aware of our sins. It's very important to make sure we don't take our sins lightly. That's right. We cannot control and we should not sin. That's right. And now the Holy Quran also puts it beautifully, the importance of making sure we do not take our sins lightly. This is because if we look at Surah Nur, Ayat 15, it says, and you thought it to be a light matter, while it was most serious in the sight of Allah. So this shows that sometimes we may have like small sins and we may think that they are not that big, no one's going to realize. But we should make sure that even if it's a small sin, we do not take it lightly. So there's a few things that we can do to make sure we don't take our sins lightly. The first one is we need to struggle to make sure we refrain and we stay away from the sin. Imam Hassan al-Askari alayhi salam has said, the strongest of those who struggle among mankind is the one who abandons sins. So the first step for us is to make sure we put in that effort to make sure we stay away from those sins. The next point that we can do to make sure we don't take our sins lightly is we think seriously about any sins that we've committed. This is because the Holy Prophet has said, when Allah wishes good for his servant, he places his sins visible, the disobedience being heavy, and when he does not wish good for his servant, he makes him forget his sin. We want to make sure that we have a strong connection with Allah and the sin. We are aware of that sin, so we are able to make forgiveness. The next point that we can remember when it comes to avoiding taking our sins lightly is we need to feel stressed and upset when we have done the sin and make sure we ask for forgiveness, because the Holy Prophet has given advice to Abu Dhar, and he has said, A believer sees his sins as a rock over his head, while a disbeliever sees his sins as a fly that passes by his nose. When Rasulullah is communicating, he's basically saying that a believer sees a sin as so big, it's like a big rock over his head. Whereas for a disbeliever, he sees a sin fly that'll just pass by his nose. So what this hadith is actually saying from the Holy Prophet is that sins are really big. Sometimes even a small sin we may think is very small, like a little, whereas a sin should be viewed as being something that we need to take very seriously and ask for forgiveness from Allah. There's also a wonderful story from the Holy Prophet when he was with his companions, and one day he desert. It was time to eat, and the Prophet told to go in all directions to search for firewood. The companions looked around and they realized they would find firewood in a desert. Because if we think about a desert is basically just sand. The Prophet told them to look for whatever they could find. So each companion started searching, and when they returned, able to put together a whole pile of firewood. It was enough to make a fire to cook all their food. The Holy Prophet then looked at what those people had collected and said, "The sins of a believer are also of firewood. They are not apparent, but when you look carefully, you can find them. They can be gathered together and can become a large pile one day." So if we think about it, all these sins may look small, very small. When you put it together, look at the big impact that all these sins can have. Just like how all the companions collected stuff for the firewood together, all of those can make a big fire. So we need to remember that all these small sins can add up. So now we're going to be taking a look at another point from the clock section in Nahjul Balagha. Now the next one talks about piety. Beware that piety is like trained horses on whom the riders have been placed with the reins and their hands, so that they would take the riders to heaven. So this example we can see it also has an example of horses, but however the horses are not like the ones that we looked at in the previous example where they didn't have the reins. In this khutbah, what do we think that piety means? That's right, it is the opposite of sinning. It involves controlling angers. That's right, it means being aware of Allah at all times and being able to control yourself. That's right. Also purity, controlling. That's right. And that's also a good point that the wise people are those that are pious. That's right. If we're being pious and we have piety, we also ask for forgiveness. And we are also doing good. So that's important for us to remember, is to picture ourselves. If we're on a horse, we want to be like the one in this example, where we are able to control the horse and have this piety. We don't want to be like those that sin. It's like the reins of their horses is gone and they are leading a person to hell. We want to be like those ones that help to send the riders to heaven, like in this example that we're looking at. That's right. We need to make sure we're always control and we are always aware of Allah at all times. That's right. It is amazing. And it's also beautiful if we think about the way Imam Ali alayhi salam is describing these different concepts. Instead of just saying we should have piety and do this, he's using such beautiful examples for us, such as examples of horses in different ways. So we can actually visualize these beautiful khutbahs that we are looking at in our minds with the beautiful examples from things that we have seen. That's right. Piety is the tool that we can use to guide ourselves to heaven. That's correct. That's right. If we want to go to heaven, we need to be in control. We need to always be aware of Allah. We need to make sure our actions are always in line with what we need to do. Very good. That's right. We need to have piety and we need to be able to control ourselves at all times. That's very good. That is very important for us to do at all times. We need to make sure that we are always able to always in that right path. That's right, and piety does involve having that self-awareness. That's a good point that's coming up as well. We need to make sure we do good deeds and not bad deeds. Very good. Excellent. We need to be aware of our sins. Excellent. It's another good point. Look at another khutbah. And this is number 11. This is a beautiful one that talks about determination. Just like the other one that talked about horses, this time we're given a beautiful example that involves mountains. It says, mountains may move from their position, but you should not move from yours. Grit your teeth, lend to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala your head in fighting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Give yourself to Allah. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. If we take a look at this, it's describing mountains. It's saying how we need to make sure we need to have a firm connection in Allah. What else do we understand in terms of how we need to have determination? That's right. We need to always make sure we stay with Allah. That's right. When you have determination, it also involves us having willpower. Very good. We need to keep focused on things and make sure that we tell ourselves we can do it. Very good. That's right. We want to make sure we never stray away from Allah. We're always going towards Allah. We do good deeds. We always believe in Allah. Very good. So determination is the willpower that if we put our mind towards doing something, such as being close to Allah, we continue and make sure we strive to be able to achieve that. That's right. If you do not have determination and you do not commit to getting close to Allah, it could lead you to the wrong path. That's right. It involves having patience. That's right. It involves making sure we are close to Allah, and we also make sure that we control our willpower. Very good. That's right. If sometimes things are not going as well, always pray to Allah to help to make it better. Very good. That's a beautiful example. That's right. There are probably two parts to Khutbah 16, but because it's long, we look at maybe only certain parts. That's right. When we talk about determination, it also involves patience. And we should make sure that we never doubt Allah. Very good. That's important. And the other point that's also important is we can see the importance of determination within an ayat of Quran. If we look at Surah Taha, ayat 115, it's a beautiful ayat that says, and we did not find him any firm resolve. What this is basically telling us, this ayat that we look at, it's saying one of the keys to success is in determination to follow the intentions we make in life. When a human being such as ourselves knows exactly what he or she has to do to move closer towards perfection, we need to make sure that once we have this determination, we make an intention to carry out that action. And that intention is then followed by the knowledge that we have about a particular area. When we look at this ayat, we notice that the last word in it, azim, is the word used in the Holy Quran for the strong and the firm power that we have within us to carry out an action. When we have this determination, the beautiful thing is, the way we can think about it, it affects all parts of our body. It affects the mind because our minds know that a certain action is desirable. it also then affects our heart, because our heart likes a certain outcome. They know if you have determination to do something good, it's going to produce an outcome that we're going to be happy with. Our body is also affected by this. Our body is affected when we have this determination as well, because it produces energy to facilitate and help us to be able to do this action and to remove any obstacles from being able to do it. When our heart, our body, and our mind all work together, it helps us to have this determination to be able to carry out the action. So this is why it's important for us to remember that when we have determination, it affects all parts of our body in total. That's right. If you're determined, you will succeed. So the links for this presentation, as well as the presentation in the past, I will give at the end of the class. That's right. Determination can make a person do so much and have so much power through the way it can affect your mind, your heart, and your body. Now, are there ever any obstacles to having this determination? Within our lives, if we want to have determination, are there sometimes ever any challenges that we may face from having determination? That's right, Imran. Shaitan is a big distraction that can sometimes be there. Because sometimes Shaitan, when we want to have good determination, he will start whispering to us and tell us that, why are you doing this action? Do we need to do this action? You are already doing so much. Other people may do it and they may not get important. There isn't any importance to it. That's right. So Shaitan is sometimes somebody that can get in the way when we want to do something good. He may whisper to us the wrong thing. Other points, that's right. Maybe our greed, our wealth, our power, our friends' influence. That's right. That's right. We should not follow Shaitan. There's also one other key one that so far no one's mentioned yet. So there's Shaitan, we've had other points, but there's also one barrier that sometimes makes it hard for us to have this determination. One other obstacle. Let's see if somebody can guess what that other obstacle is. So far no one's mentioned it yet. We're getting close, Jabir, within your own body. Which part of the body we think? That's right, Huma, you got it. It is our nafs. This is because there's many different faculties of the nafs. One of the parts of the nafs that that can be an internal enemy is sometimes our nafs is weak and loves it when we have comfort and ease. Sometimes a part of our nafs doesn't like it when we have any troubles and hardships to carry out. So sometimes when we have determination, our nafs would rather stay simple, isn't going to involve as many hardships. So sometimes we need to test that we're able to move through all those different obstacles. So the two biggest obstacles that we need to make sure we are always aware of is our nafs, so like our soul, yes. And the other biggest one is the whispering of Shaitan. So if we want to have this determination, we need to make sure we are able to move through these different obstacles, as well as some of the other obstacles that other people mentioned, such as wealth, influence of peers, money. They're also true, but these are the biggest ones, and we need to make sure we are able to fight through to be able to have this true determination that we want to have. Now we are going to take a look at another beautiful one dealing with akhlaq. If you can't hear, I think maybe if you just refresh it, and I think it should be able to be. The next one we're going to take a look at is from Khutbah 23. And initially, when the question was asked, which points of akhlaq do people think are mentioned? One of the ones that people did make reference, and even elders, which could be included in that as well. So what you can do for refreshing it, you just basically exit this chat room and then you come back to it. And then it should be fixed. Otherwise, maybe the problem, if you can't hear, should maybe fix on its own. So when this khutbah 23 mentions being good to relatives, it says, "O people, surely no one, even though he may be rich, can do without his kinsmen and their support by hands or tongues. They alone are his support from rear and can ward off from his troubles, and they are the most kind to him when tribulations fall him. The good memory of a man that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala retains among people is better than the property which others inherit from him." So we can see, even if we just take a look at this first part, it discusses the importance of why we need to make sure we are good to our relatives. So what kind of points does this khutbah talk about when it discusses the importance of being good to relatives? So what kind of points does it mention about being good to relatives? We need to be welcoming towards them, that's right. That the relatives help us, that's right. We need to make sure we also support them. We need to make sure we're kind to them, we help them, we take care of them, we be polite, very good, and we love them, very good. We always have that strong connection, and that's right. Especially our elders, we need to make sure that we show respect to them and kindness to them. That's right. We need to make sure we have good akhlaq towards them. You can invite them to your house. We always take care of them. We say salam when we meet them. We visit them regularly. We take care of them. Very good. We help your elders. Very good. And if we think about it, one of the examples that we can see of somebody that is a wonderful example and a role model for somebody that had beautiful akhlaq and being kind, good to relatives, was if we take a look at the example of Bibi Sakina Islam. We look at it, her wafat, depending on which part of the world you're in, is probably either has just passed or is coming up. She shows us the importance of being good to relatives because she had such a strong connection with Hazrat Abbas. She used to always visit him. She had that strong bond with him at all times. So she's a wonderful example, and somebody that was so young that we can even relate to, for somebody that shows us the importance of how to have good relations with our relatives. If we look at the way she, even in Karbala, she had a very strong bond with Hazrat Abbas at all times. That's right. Other good points that are coming up, we offer help to them. That's right. She did love him so much. That's correct. Very good. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at your optional homework for this week. And that's right, Jabir. You can call your relatives and you can take care of them. So the optional assignments for this week is just like the weeks in the past, there's a leaf scavenger hunt. So within the package for the leaf scavenger hunt, so far, if you've been following, there's been 1, there's been 2, and then the third one is the one you're going to be working on for this class. Next class is going to be the last class. So there's still, after this class, 1 more class. So leaf scavenger hunt number 3 is what you're working on. And at the bottom of that page, there's also a link that will take you to the quiz for leaf scavenger hunt where you can submit your answers. Thank you for all those that submitted their answers last week and the week before. There are many people that did it, and everyone that did a wonderful job on their leaf scavenger hunt. The next part of your optional homework is if you pick 1, 2, or 3 short khutbahs, hadiths, either from the lesson or one that you found on your own, And you create a small illustration for the short khutbah or hadith that you found. And you email the khutbah or hadith and have your name on the email. And what these are going to be used for, we're going to actually see if as a class, we can make mini flashcards that we can use to help us to be able to memorize the different beautiful parts of the khutbah or hadiths. So if you submit a picture of either khutbah or hadith, we can put it into a beautiful flashcard game that you can then use to help you review the beautiful parts of Nahjul Balagha in a fun way. So you can find either 1, 2, 3 khutbahs, hadiths, anything you find interesting. Where you submit it, you can send it to my email address that I can also post as well. And that way, by the next class, if there's lots of submissions, you can have those that you can then print out the flashcards to help you review them and learn it. So that will be a nice, fun thing. That's completely optional. The reminder that none of this is mandatory. It's only if you like to do it, it's completely optional. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be posting on the chat the links for the PowerPoint presentation for today's class, as well as I will be posting the leaf scavenger hunt